Welcome back to another edition of the Saints Insider Podcast. I am Luke Johnson, joined today by my colleagues Rod Walker, Matthew Paris, and Jeff Duncan. We are through 1 week of the NFL regular season. The Saints lost their opener to the Arizona Cardinals 20-13. Had a chance at the end to make a game out of it, but couldn't quite pull it off. So we'll discuss everything we kind of learned from that game. All of us have had an opportunity to watch a little bit more of that game, to talk to some players in the locker room, some of the coaches, and kind of see a little bit more about what this team is actually about in the 2025 season. I'd like to remind you that Saints Insider Podcast is brought to you by Bank Plus. From small business to big business, home loans to bank anywhere technology, Bank Plus is here for New Orleans. New deposit customers can reach out today to learn more about incredible rate specials. Learn more at bankplus.net, member FDIC, equal housing lender. So guys, one of the things like when I'm thinking about week one game, look, we had a lot of ideas about this team and its players and its coaching staff coming into the 2025 season based off of training camp, based off of preseason games, but regular season games are something different. So, Dunk, I actually wanted to start with you because of your column after Sunday's game. We're going to be talking about did anything from week one change your mind? And I don't know if this necessarily counts as changing your mind, but you wrote a column that I actually agreed with. Don't look at the box score when assessing Spencer Rattler's performance. Look at what actually happened. So, box score will tell you that Spencer Rattler went 27 of 46. It's a 58.7 completion percentage, 214 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, no turnovers at all, and a 70.4 passer rating. So that's like kind of putting him like toward the bottom of the NFL pack statistically, but you had a different takeaway from that.
Well, yeah, I think we all know that this isn't the Drew Brees, Sean Payton days, right? I mean, like, they're not asking Spencer Rattler to be anything more than I think what we saw on Sunday. And I think he executed exactly the game plan as they wanted it. Maybe he could have taken a few more shots, I don't know. But for my view, if he plays that way every week, they're going to have a chance to win, I think, because he avoided really a lot of negative plays. I think he made plays to avoid sacks, I mean, he used his legs to get first downs. He executed at the 2-minute warning about as well as you could. They weren't really giving him anything that he could just gobble up yards right away. He executed that well. And I think Spencer Rattler showed that, like, he's right now maybe one of the lesser concerns they have. Now, maybe that changes after 1 week. I mean, 1 week in, I'm not ready to make a big judgment, but I came away encouraged with how he played. And if he plays like that, I think we all agree the starting units on this team are going to be competitive. It's, they just can't afford too much attrition. Their depth's a little shy in certain areas. If they can stay healthy, and I know they've already lost some guys, Spencer Rattler's good enough, and this starting lineup's good enough to be competitive and pull out some of these games that maybe they haven't been pulling out lately.
Yeah, Rattler only took 1 sack in that game. Afterwards, he took the blame for that. But really, Talifuaga, who we'll get into the injuries for the Saints, Talifuaga was clearly not even close to 100% in this game. Before he came out of the game, he really did not look like himself. Rod, anything from week one, anything that happened in that game kind of changed your mind about anything on this team?
No, I mean, I think I kind of feel the same way. I think they're kind of who we thought they would be.
They are who we thought they were playing the Cardinals. Yeah. They played that Dennis Green clip.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he, going back to Rattler, I think he did play well. He didn't turn the ball over, which was obviously a big issue with him last year. You don't want to see him throwing 46 passes a game. I mean, that's just not going to do it. But if you can't run the ball and you're playing from behind, that sort of happens. But they're going to have to get a more balanced offense, I think, to be successful. But they do it. Yeah, I think they're going to be in a lot of games. I don't know if it's going to be enough to win, but I mean, if Juwan makes that catch, obviously they might win that game. But I think this team is going to always probably be like a play or two, like right there, and it just depends on which way that play falls for them.
Yeah, I thought that game did actually play out kind of how I was expecting it. A competitive team that just doesn't have enough juice to get it done. I do think it's interesting that you brought up the pass-run splits. I think they passed on something like 68% of their offensive snaps.
It was 46 to 22, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Now that was surprising to me.
Only 10 runs in the second half, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, like, going into this season, I was sure that they were just going to really lean hard on that running game, and and try to like take things out of the hands of their young quarterback. But that was a little bit different story in week 1.
Yeah, I spent some time this morning looking back at why they went away from the run in the second half, because in the first half it was pretty balanced. I think Spencer Rattler only had 14 passes at halftime, something like that, and 7 third quarter runs. I think 6 were in no huddle or 5 were in no huddle. I noticed the key difference when they're in no huddle. Kellen Moore's like pre-snap motion tendencies go way down. They just like to play fast. They don't like to craft it up. But when the run game was working in the first half, I feel like there was a lot of motion to kind of take away the defense. The Cardinals were biting on it a lot. And so I think they're, in the third quarter at least, their most successful run of those was just 5 yards. And the fourth, it was just a Spencer Rattler scramble. Like they went away from it because they weren't getting much from it. But they didn't get much from it because I think they were playing a little bit too fast, even though I thought the tempo overall was pretty solid.
How much was, since you looked at it, because I was just curious as Luke was talking, how much was it also them getting in bad down a distance because penalties?
No, it was mostly just like first downs. Like a lot of them were on 1st and 10. A couple were on like 2nd and short, 3rd, and there was one on 3rd and 1. Like it was just more so like, all right, let's mix in a run after a first down, because that was the other thing that stood out about the tempo to me was, hey, if you get a first down, you're going. And they like to push the pace. I think that was advantageous to them at times. But to me, my big takeaway was I think this is going to take a couple weeks for Kellen Moore to figure out how exactly he wants his pieces to align. Like I feel like Devon Vele, for instance, was barely on the field.
Yeah, 2 targets. I think
They need to get him more involved. Just that something from your story that you wrote the other day, only 3 play action attempts and 2 of them were RPOs. Like they just got to have a little bit more variance, I think. But I think that's normal as you go about, you face more opponents, you figure out what works, what doesn't. It's just like, to me, the first game very much felt like all right, let's try some stuff. Let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting tendencies from the first game. I think they're currently 2nd in the NFL in tempo rate, just behind Washington, which Cliff Kingsbury. It's like all he does is tempo. So it's something like 36% of their snaps were tempo, no huddle. Only the 3 play action plays, 2 were RPOs. One of them was that RPO on, I think, 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line, where Chris Olave was the only one on the route.
That was weird.
But like, that's where I think maybe Spencer Rattler thought he was going to see something that didn't ultimately happen.
Right.
Where it was one guy with like 4 guys in coverage. Yeah, and then the only other play action, there's only one true play action drop back out of 49 dropbacks in this game. So that was really interesting. I think a lot of this stuff is just week 1. It's going to balance itself out over the course of the year. But like the motion stuff, I think that's a good point. They did run a lot of motion. I think their motion percentage was actually higher in week 1 than it was for last year under Clint Kubiak, who runs a lot of motion pre-snap. So I think a lot of stuff going on. We'll see how that stuff just kind of shakes out over the course of the regular season. What about defensively? Anything change your expectations defensively after this game? Obviously, like we're going to get into the Julian Blackmon injury, which I think is a big one. But they had 5 sacks. It really was 4 sacks. One of them was Kyler Murray kind of scrambling, ran out of bounds. P. Werner gets credit with a sack there. But yeah, I think we saw like some interesting pressures. Not a lot of them though. I think they were like bottom 12 in pressure rate, like blitz rate. But I think some pretty encouraging stuff from that defense overall.
Yeah, I would say because the pressure rate was lower, I was still impressed by Brandon Staley's decision-making of when and when not to dial up pressure. I think that's best evident on that Alontae Taylor sack near the end of the game. Really kept the minute, and that's kind of what you want from your coaching staff, what you want from your coordinators. Other things, I look back at Cam Jordan's first sack. Great way to, don't put tight ends on a defensive end because they'll smoke them, and even Cam Jordan took advantage of that. But I thought it was a really sound defensive performance. It was, there were some coverage busts or, the missed tackles. I think you're just going to see that a lot this time of year. But overall they played pretty fundamentally sound, which was encouraging.
Yeah, I thought, the final numbers, I was surprised they gave up more rushing yards than I thought watching the game, but I guess a lot of it's that big explosive, which is, is a problem. They've had that problem in the past. But I came away pretty – I tell you what stood out to me after watching the game was Demario Davis was a beast out there, man. I mean, remember what did he say the other day? He goes, I feel like I'm 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what he looked like. I thought he was the best player on their defense on Sunday for a guy that's been in the league that long. I thought he was really impactful. Cam, you mentioned, the two old guard guys were playing lights out, I thought. Now, as the season goes on, can they keep it up? That's, you talk to Bobby Hebert's like, I could go out and play week 1, Jeff, but I couldn't make it to week 2, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's the problem is recovery. But I thought, like to your point, I thought Brandon Staley called a really good game and kept them in the game and dialed up the pressures when they need it. And they had I think they were dialed in on how to contain Kyler Murray as best they could. And I know he slipped out a few times, but for the most part, they had a good game plan. So I liked what I saw.
Yeah, according to Next Gen Stats, Demario Davis had 7 stops. A stop is defined as a tackle that you made that results in a negative EPA play for the offense. Seven of those.
7 tackles for loss. That's a lot.
Yeah.
In
And
the game.
Demario had, I think, 3 tackles for loss himself,
Yeah.
or 2 tackles for loss and 2 for no gain. Look, he's doing that at 36 years old. Only 2 NFL players had more stops than he did. Rod, anything
Yeah,
defensively?
for me, DeMario was definitely the biggest plus, I think. But I thought Kool-Aid had some struggles a little bit in the game, and I was a little surprised by that because he was obviously in training camp, the guy that we talked about a whole lot, and he just had some coverage issues throughout the game. So maybe that gets better as the season goes on. But for me, that was the biggest thing.
I think the big one on Kool-Aid, like the 45-yarder to Marvin Harrison Jr., I thought the coverage was pretty good there. I think he was just beat by a good throw and a good play by the receiver. But like a couple plays later on that drive, he got beat by Marvin Harrison Jr. on a crosser for a touchdown. So I still think that there's a lot of room for him to get better. But I still like generally where he's at.
Yeah,
I don't know if you feel.
no, I do, and I think the defense is. We thought they would be really good, and I think they are going to be good. But we have to see how much this Julian Blackman, which we're going to get to, I guess.
Yeah.
How much that takes away from the defense. But
all right, we kind of went into a little bit about this, but let's just focus on what specifically we are encouraged by in week 1. I think for me, it's that I really liked the play of Kelvin Banks.
Yeah.
He had an excellent preseason, but it's a little bit different in the preseason, as we know. Teams aren't going to throw as much stuff at you. You're not going to necessarily be facing the quality of the player that you're going to face in the regular season. Arizona invested pretty heavily into its defense this offseason. He had a number of snaps against guys like Josh Sweat, and I think he held up really, really well. Every single play that I watched, he's just holding his own out there. Was he charged for any of those pre-snap penalties? I don't think he was.
No, I don't think so.
He might have been the only one on the offensive line who was not hit with a pre-snap penalty. And I just think that, look, you are drafting a guy in the top 10 to protect a quarterback. Run blocking, sure, that could probably be a little bit better. He's probably got room to grow there. But I think as a pass blocker, right away he stepped in and he was excellent. They are going to need that, especially if Talifuaga misses some time on the right side. You're going to need your bookend, your left tackle to be a dude, and I think right away he stepped in and played really well. I don't know what were you guys encouraged by specifically in this game?
Well, I was going to say for me I'm going back to Spencer Rattler again because I was just going into this game. I didn't know if this was going to be one of those seasons where we're wondering okay, how many games into this season before they have to pull him and go to Tyler Shuck, and I think. And we're not even talking about that this week at all. So I think it's encouraging just to see that Spencer was able to do some of the things that he needed to do to hold on to this job and not have that discussion throughout the season.
I think he actually kind of opened some eyes around the league this week. I think a lot of people were just kind of, just dismissing the Saints generally because of the quarterback this offseason, and then really dismissing Tyler Shuck as saying, wow, we can't even beat out Spencer Rattler. I think Spencer Rattler is a better player than a lot of people give him credit for.
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw that this week, and it's just going to be a matter of he can continue doing that for these next few weeks. But, he held his own, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, what were you encouraged by?
I'll go by Kendre Miller.
Yeah, he showed a nice burst. Yeah.
Really nice burst. That play, it was him and Kamara in the backfield. Kamara went like this way, and Kamara Miller burst through the seam. It was a really nice design and took full advantage of it. This was a really nice change of pace back, and we've seen in the past when like that allows Kamara to thrive, and they haven't had that the last few years. But if he can get it going, and he should probably be used more. I thought it was a real nice, encouraging start from him.
And his kickoff returns. I mean, he was really good on special teams.
Great point.
Yeah, so I would say in addition to Rattler, I was high on Juwan Johnson's game. We finally had he became kind of the go-to guy in a lot of key situations. And I think if they get that kind of game out of him the rest of the year, they'll be really happy. I mean, he was exactly what we talked about. They don't have maybe the big frame receiver. I guess Vele could be that. But that was the role that he played against a lot of those zone coverages that they were seeing. And what I liked about Rattler was he was decisive in it. If he's not as decisive as he was, a lot of those balls aren't going to be completed. But he was immediately recognizing it and going, especially to Johnson, underneath, and that's important.
To add to that, I think if you look at Spencer Rattler's incompletions, the ball was there. Like there were a lot of they weren't drops because like low throws, but he had some of them were tough throws. Like he had his guy though. It wasn't like Caleb Williams the other day where the ball just like sailed over the guy's head in like key spots. I mean that'll happen sometimes. And I'm not dogging Caleb Williams for that. It's just like Spencer Rattler clearly knew where he wanted to go, and it didn't always work out. But I thought the decision making was really sound.
He was a little inaccurate, which I think is going to be his. He's just going to be that.
That was a problem last year.
Yeah, it's just a little bit like some of these incompletions, like to Olave. If the ball's a little better, I don't think Chris Olave drops it. It's just a little too much. But to your point, I thought the most encouraging thing was I can't think of a ball he threw where I was like, man, he shouldn't have thrown that. I mean, there might have been one over the middle that almost got picked.
It was at the Mack Wilson one in the end zone?
No, it was over the middle, and literally, I mean, the guy dropped it. It could have been a pick. But that's the only one where I was like, that one. But for the most part, he was throwing it, like you said, where he wanted to throw it and probably where the play was designed for him to go, and I thought he was decisive in doing it.
How many throwaways did he have where he was just getting rid of the ball? I remember one.
He had one in the red zone for sure.
Yeah, I remember that one. But
I don't know off the top of my head, but there was.
I didn't think the last throw was very good, but I mean, he didn't really give the guy a chance at all. In that situation, that's the last thing you want to do is throw it out of bounds.
Right.
I will say though, looking back at it right now, 33 of his 41 targets went to Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Juwan Johnson. That is encouraging to me. Get those guys the football. I know it didn't work out in this game. None of them had big games, I guess, with the exception of Juwan. But get the ball in your best player's hands. Yeah. I think that's encouraging. That's going to work out more often than not. All right. What about the flip side of this? What are we discouraged by after week one? And we'll start with you, Rod.
I was going to say maybe Devon Vele not being as involved as we want. He only had 2 targets, and going to the game, I thought they'd use him a little bit more. But the obvious one for me would be the penalties, which, it's week one. It happens. We'll see if they can clean it up because most of it was 8 pre-snap penalties, which, if you can fix those, I mean, that gets you down to, 5 penalties in the game. So they have to fix that. I mean, this team can't afford to be behind the chains like that.
Yeah, week one penalties happen, but not to that extent, and not with so many of them being procedural penalties. That's the stuff that is eminently fixable.
Yeah.
Right. And Kellen Moore said, look, we drilled that into their heads before the game, and it just didn't play out.
Yeah.
And some of it I think was tempo. Guys not being used to playing that way. But that's just something they cannot have because this is a team where the margins are going to matter.
Right.
If they're going to win football games.
One less team bonding outing, and you probably can clean that up. So.
Good Lord.
All right. Matt, what about you?
You hit it, Rod, but it's related to Devon Vele, but this team does not have a lot of size outside Juwan Johnson, and I think it's why he got targeted so many times, and I think it's why I want to see Devon Vele more on the field, because I think even some of the targets Rashid Shaheed got, like Spencer Rattler threw it and like trusted his receiver to make a play, and he just didn't have the size to catch it. And I just think like I want to see him more involved, not only because they gave up a 4th-round pick for him, but I just really feel like they need that size out there. And so I'd like to see him going be more involved a little more going forward. And I was discouraged by that, at least.
Well,
Yeah.
he probably will though, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, this is like 2 weeks after he was traded. You know, he's probably still working his way through like learning the entire offense. So I imagine like but we did probably expect to see a little bit more in week 1.
Yeah, that play that they were trying to get a DPI on, Rashid, he goes, one of the ones you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a good example. It kind of reminded me of like in the NBA where, you know, if you don't have the physicality to finish at the rim, I mean, these guys are going to have that kind of contact, and you've got to be able to play through that, and he's just not big enough. I mean, he's just not. And so those plays, you know, he looks like he's getting waylaid and everybody's going crazy, but it's just because he's not big enough, and that's going to be maybe a play down the road for Vele if he can get deep on that. I don't know if he can get deep. That might not be his strength. But the discouraging thing to me, the penalties to me are, I mean, come on, man. You can't have 8 pre-snap penalties. Kellen Moore talked all week about what do you want to see. Well, he wanted to see clean play, execution. I thought they were sloppy in tackling. I think they had, I don't know how many they ended up with, but there were some key missed tackles. I mean, Justin Reed missed one that led to a first down.
Yep.
That was a critical miss. I mean, and there was no reason to miss it. I mean, it was an underneath throw. There were the long run that should never have gone that far. I mean, I don't know what McKinstry was doing. He had the
I think it was Yadam. I think it was Yadam.
Was it Yadam?
Yeah.
He had the leverage and let him get by on the sideline. So those things, that sloppiness, you expect some of it in week 1, but for a point of emphasis that he talked about, and I think a lot of it was, I mean, the 2 times they tried to get somewhat cute blew up both times. I mean, that trick play and then the tush push, you know. I mean, that's on the players for not executing, and that's something we saw last year, so that concerns me.
I think for me, I'm going to go back to what like I thought was one of the keys to this game, and I was really discouraged by just the complete lack of explosive plays offensively.
Yeah.
I know that Arizona was playing like a 2-deep shell most of the game. Like they were taking away what the Saints did really well last year, which is the vertical passing game with guys like Shaheed and Olave, etc. But like, I think there's still ways to manufacture some big plays when that sort of stuff is happening. They had 1 play of 20-plus yards in this game. And I just don't think that this offense is the type of offense that is going to be able to sustain 10, 12, 11-play drives all the time. You know, and then like, even when they did, I think they had 4 of them in this last game, but then they went 1 of 4 in the red zone. So, you know, I think they've got to find a way to hunt these explosive plays out, even if teams are going to continue playing this type of defense against them. Like there's got to be ways to attack that and find big plays.
I think that's how people are going to play them too.
I think it is until they show they can.
You're
stop
right.
it.
They got to find a way to create them somehow.
Yeah.
Whether
We
that-
saw them do a lot of like underneath crossing routes,
Right.
But none of those actually like gave those receivers opportunities to make a lot of run.
They're
after
not
catch.
great though after catch. Those 2 smaller receivers. I mean, you saw it a couple times. In particular, Shaheed. I mean, he had like I don't know if it was a bubble screen or what, but I mean, the guy just one hand grabbed him and pulled him down. I mean, they're just not very big. So even as fast as they are, if a guy gets their hands on them, they're probably not going to break.
To be fair, like I love Rashid Shaheed as a player, but I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. He's like, I think if he's going to be a yak guy, it's got to be like he's got to really have some space. Like
and the way they're playing with those
big
underneath
separation,
the zone, it's hard to do it.
And I agree with you that he's not the one you want running the fade route, right? Like that's
right.
Those aren't his strengths, I don't think. All right. We are going to take a quick break here for a word from our sponsor, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about some of the injuries the Saints are facing, and hey, San Francisco is facing quite a few as well, so we'll get to that right after this.
Banking has come to a crossroads. Do you want to bank with an actual bank, with actual people? You know, one that you can walk into or drive through. Get real help from a real person. Or do you want a bank that lives inside your phone? A digital bank that gives you control of your money anywhere, anytime. Well, why not both? Bank Plus, a partner in your corner, wherever that may be.
Did they ask you to do the commercial too?
Yeah, but they just gave me one line.
Bet like a Caesar. Like, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna tell them how Caesar's Sportsbook is just so easy to use that you can watch and bet thousands of sports events, even some NFL games.
They'll probably show us betting on our favourite players and teams at all the Vegas hotspots too.
Like, we have time for that montage.
I told him I couldn't do it.
They couldn't afford me.
Welcome back. As a reminder, this is the Saints Insider Podcast. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast. You can also watch our lovely faces over on our YouTube channel. If you are there, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. We're going to be doing this a whole lot over the course of this 2025 regular season and beyond. So please join us along for the ride. We are very happy you're here with us. Let's get into some unfortunate news after the game. Revealed that Justin Blackmon likely lost for the season. What is reported to be a torn labrum. Kellen Moore really yesterday just said it was a shoulder injury and didn't give any specifics on it. But guys, it's I think a big loss. I thought Justin Blackmon was Julian Blackmon. I'm sorry, I do this.
I do the same thing
all the time in my head. I confuse him with the old Oklahoma State wide receiver, Julian Blackmon. Look, I thought he had a tremendous training camp. He had 5 interceptions in training camp. I thought he was a great fit in this particular defense, especially alongside Justin Reed. So even if we like what we've seen out of Jonas Sanker, their 3rd-round pick this year, or if it's Jordan Howden, whoever it is, I think there's going to be a drop-off there. So, Rod, what is the impact of this one, do you think?
I think it's a major loss for this team. Was it you that had him going to the Pro Bowl?
I did.
Yeah, let's just take a moment of silence for that tape.
Yeah, that's gone.
Didn't last long.
Dust in the wind. Yeah.
The Luke Jinx. But he when they signed him after Tyron retired, I was thinking that the secondary may have actually upgraded. I thought they had just gotten better because I thought he was, he's a little younger than Tyron, and I just thought he was like a good fit for this team. And to see him go out in the first game is a big blow to this team. And it's weird that he played the entire game, and none of us had no idea that he was even hurt. So I think Kellen Moore said he got home and realized how bad his injury was. So, it's a big blow for this team. And one of those guys you mentioned is going to have to step in and play well.
So in this past game, Julian Blackmon did play 100% of the defensive snaps. The only other safety to take a snap in this game was Jonas Sanker. He played 1 defensive snap. And Jordan Howden was a healthy scratch. He was questionable. He was questionable with an oblique injury, not a healthy scratch. That's right. But he
probably would have been inactive, though.
He was inactive. So, assuming that both Howden and Sanker can play, are you just expecting Sanker to be the other starting safety?
I do, yeah. I just think he's kind of leapt him in the pecking order. I think he's been a little bit more consistent of the two. Howden he has good size. He's rangy. He just kind of has made a little bit too many MEs, like mental errors.
Just think back of that Dallas Goedert 61-yard catch and run last year.
And I just think, this season we've talked so much about you want to evaluate your young talent. Well, here you go. If they elevate someone I would expect Terrell Burgess probably to be signed to the active roster here at some point. Maybe they give him a try. But right now, I think they're going to give Sanker an opportunity and see if he can have it.
Yeah, and he's a different kind of player, I think, than Blackmon, too. I mean, his strengths are a little more in the box. He played well, I thought.
He seems kind of like Justin Reedy.
Yeah, very big, strong, physical guy.
Yeah, just that was him in college, but I think the Saints realized they need someone to complement Reed no matter who it was. So he said in camp, or maybe he said recently, that he had been focused mostly on the back end. So the Saints have at least prepared him for that.
Yeah. I think his strengths are more kind of similar to Reed's than.
Yeah, and I think Blackman's a big loss almost spiritually, because he was really fitting in, like Rod said. I think he seemed like a great guy. All of a sudden you just pick up this guy and he's making all these plays in camp. I mean, that's going to lift the entire defense. And he's a veteran. who's been through, the wars, and now you're going to just unproven commodities in most cases. It'll be interesting to see if that impacts how Brandon Staley calls his defense, because I think he had confidence in either one of those guys, man, in center field or doing anything. I don't know if he'll have that same confidence with whoever's replacing him.
Yeah, we'll see. And look, the whole reason Julian Blackmon was available to the Saints in July is because he had surgery on a torn labrum this past January.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is 2 straight years where he's dealing with, we don't know if it's the same shoulder or not, but 2 straight years he's dealing with that injury. Last year he played through it. He elected to get surgery after the season. This year he's not going to be able to play through it. Almost certainly done for the year. So that really sucks for the Saints. Really sucks for Julian Blackmon. We really enjoyed the time we got to watch him in this defense. So we'll see what the Saints do.
He almost had a pick.
He almost had a pick.
Come close to another pick.
I really did think he'd have like 5+ this year. So we'll see what Jonas Sanker can do. All right, the other big one from the game, Tali Fuaga. Look, as we discussed earlier, clearly affected by that knee early in the game. I think he gave up 4 pressures in this game, and pretty much all of them, he just didn't look like he was moving right. His pass sets were off. He was getting beat out in space. Very unlike the player we've seen throughout training camp, we saw last year. So I guess Kellen Moore kind of said he didn't think that was a super serious injury, Matt, but I don't know. What's your vibe on that? Because knee injuries for offensive linemen can be tricky.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see. Like, Kellen Moore did say that he'd be one of the maintenance guys, so maybe, like, we'll see if he practices today. I would be kind of surprised if he does. He just looked way too slow in terms of, like, he looked limited, was really easily bullied over in key spots, and I think it's just because he couldn't plant, like, with his leg and use his knee the way he needed to. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate because right tackle was supposed to be his, like, best position, but if you're banged up and you can't be your best, then, like, I get why they pulled it. Like, I didn't really understand it in the moment. I was like, oh, I thought he was playing well, but going back and watching, I was like, oh, whoa. This is no wonder they made this. This is why these guys get paid the money, and I'm a schmuck.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You are not a schmuck.
He definitely was not himself, and I think that's why he ended up on the bench. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
he was
I think
a liability at some point, and that's not the same guy that we saw last year healthy, and I think they know that. But that's a huge concern for me. I mean, he just didn't. He looked like me after a night of too many glasses of wine at Clancy's the next morning, walking around. That's what he looked like.
Tali Fuaga
Getting out of bed.
That was a great Clancy's night, man.
It's just was not moving very well the next morning, like me. But I mean, I was surprised though that obviously he was trying to play through it, which is admirable. But he was becoming a liability over there, and I think to Matt's point, surprisingly, it wasn't just the speed rush outside that he couldn't get to. He was getting bullied because he can't anchor. And, I mean, what are they going to do about that? I don't know. I'm sure they shot it up, and still obviously an issue. So that's a concern.
Side note, we are giving way too much free advertising to Clancy's. Talk to your people over there and see if we can get them a sponsor of the podcast.
A nice local restaurant that Chuck frequents.
Yeah. So, look, Tali Fuaga came out, I think it was the third quarter was his last snap. Really just spent the rest of the game just on the end of the bench with his helmet off watching. So, I mean, I guess in some ways you can look at that and be like, okay, probably okay if he's not back in the locker room getting like imaging on his leg or whatever, but we'll watch the rest of the game from the bench. Awesome Richards came in. That's the guy they traded for on cutdown day. I think they sent a future 6th for Richards and a 7th.
It was like the Ridgeway trade from last year where they swapped.
Just a pick swap of like for a draft like 2 years down the line. Fine, right?
Yeah,
He came in and he was fine, which is like all you can ask your swing tackle, especially for a guy who hasn't been here that long. But I mean, I think there's still a pretty significant drop between the two.
No, I mean he was solid Richards. Awesome.
Oh, come on.
Can we cut that
don't
out?
laugh at that. Shun
can
the
we
man.
cut that out?
Shun the man.
I thought he was actually pretty solid in pass protection. There was like one run play where he was just like absolutely demolished, and I was like, But besides that, I mean,
He had a bad pre-snap too, I think.
he was. I thought he was fine. Like, I kind of felt better about him than say like it was a smart acquisition. I think just because like if swing tackle was like a huge concern for them going into the season, and I felt okay with it. Just seeing those limited reps.
Yeah, we're recording early Wednesday, so we don't know about Fuaga, but to me it is discouraging to have, one game into the season and you're missing two guys that you thought were going to be, the core of this offensive line, and with Fuaga and Trevor Penning. But maybe Fuaga's fine, but I just, like you said, offensive lineman and a knee injury, you just don't really expect them to just come right back and be good to go. So we'll see today, but I'd be surprised, I think, if he played Sunday.
Yeah, and it would be a shame if this is like a long-term injury for him, something that affects him the whole season, because I really do think that this line at full strength or close to it, it was promising. I thought it was promising week one. So we'll see how that ends up. Obviously, we are recording this before Wednesday's practice. We'll be out there in a little bit, but we'll have eyes on Tali Fuaga. We'll have eyes on Trevor Penning, see if he's making it back this week. Then I think there's a chance that he could play this week. So we'll be on the lookout for those guys. But I think that's definitely a concern going into
Chase Young could be back.
Well, Chase Young is the other big one. So a lot of guys that we're going to be watching out for. Unfortunately, Julian Blackmon is not going to be one of those. Honestly, a team that might have worse injury luck than the Saints, which is really saying something, because the Saints have terrible injury luck. What is going on with the San Francisco 49ers, man? George Kittle on IR. He had 4 catches for 25 yards and a touchdown through a quarter and a half, and then he's going to be gone for the next 4 weeks. Saints fans certainly remember what he looked like in the Superdome. Brock Purdy might not be able to go. He's got injuries to his non-throwing shoulder and his toe. I guess Kyle Shanahan was saying the toe injury is actually the one that's more concerning. He might not be able to go. If he doesn't go, it's Mac Jones, who the last time he faced the Saints was one of the most abysmal quarterback performances I've ever seen. Saints shut out the Patriots 34-0. Mac Jones, I think, had 2 interceptions, and one was returned for a pick 6 by Tyrann Mathieu. And look, they might not have Jawan Jennings either. He injured his shoulder in week 1 against Seattle. So, the Saints have an opportunity potentially facing a team with a backup quarterback without maybe potentially 2 of its top pass catching options.
And let the kicker go yesterday.
Jake Moody's gone too.
Moody's gone.
Yeah, so I think they signed Eddie Pinheiro, former Panthers kicker out there. So I think the vibes have been bad in San Francisco for 2 straight years, and now potentially they're facing one of the teams that I think a lot of people were, even coming into this season, were pretty high on. Suddenly without a couple key guys.
Yeah, we saw it again Sunday with Trey McBride, the tight end for the Cardinals. He had a pretty good game, and so the Saints being able to avoid George Kittle is a good thing for this team, because we know they've had their struggles with tight ends. So to me, that and Purdy obviously are the big two in this game. So I don't know if the odds. We need Zach here for this.
We need Zach to give us the total. What's the total? Like 20 on this game?
Yeah,
it's got to be low, right? Would they beat Seattle? What was that final?
17-13.
Yeah, feels like another one of those kind of games coming up.
Yeah,
but look, they also had to lean heavily on McCaffrey, who was hurt throughout camp, and all of a sudden I think he had 31 touches or something, because they have to lean on him the way the Saints leaned on Kamara a year or so ago, and that's not good. They don't need to be leaning on him that heavily. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think there's a great opportunity here.
And Rod's dismissing the guy whose first name I can't even remember, Tonjes. He had the game-winning touchdown catch.
Jake
Tonjes.
That was
a nice catch.
That was an unbelievable catch.
That was the only one that was
more improbable.
More improbable than the.
I think that was Tariq Woolen.
Yeah, he was behind Tariq Woolen. He jumped right in front of him.
Right. It was going to be a pick.
Yeah.
The over-under is 42.5.
That seems high.
Jeff's over here smashing the under.
That was last week's total,
Saints
too.
are 4.5 point underdogs.
Saints are underdogs still? Wow. They was 6.
4.5.
So it's come down since.
Yeah, with
come down,
team potential.
So do we think we're going to see Purdy? The toe would be a little troublesome as you try to plant and throw, I would think. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see today. That injury report's going to be fascinating today.
Right.
For a number of reasons, from the Saints' perspective and the 49ers' perspective. So I don't know. What do you think about this, Matt, with all the
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones, he played a lot more than I kind of realized last year. He started 7 games, went 2-5. As good as a play caller Kyle Shanahan is, I feel like Mac Jones is like absolutely the litmus test of like, all right, how far can this actually go? Because, and then there were all those rumors before the 2021 draft that Mac Jones was like Kyle Shanahan's guy, and they took Trey Lance.
That's why they traded up to number 3 in that draft. Yeah.
And so maybe Kyle Shanahan can unlock Mac Jones, but if Mac Jones plays, I feel like I might pick the Saints this week.
Yeah. This is this one is maybe not going to be on a bunch of.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling revenge games.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we might get to see a lot of Timo in this game with Mac Jones. At quarterback.
Yeah.
A lot of Thomas Morstead.
Our guy,
the
Thomas
leg.
Morstead.
he might get a lot of use.
You think he's going to fly in Friday and just like chill at his place?
Old
uptown?
Metairie, yeah.
Old Metairie, yeah.
He might get a lot of use with that quarterback situation. Who knows?
All right. Well, we will be on top of it throughout the week. You can read all of our stuff over at NOLA.com. We got a lot of great stuff in the works for you this week. We will be closely following these injuries, and we will be back out here in studio on Friday. Zach Ewing will be back in the host seat. And, yeah, it's a fun show today, guys. Thank you all for listening. This is Rod Walker. I'm Luke Johnson. That's Matthew Paris and Jeff Duncan. Norman Bell has been our producer. We are the Saints Insider Podcast. Thank you very much. We will catch you all on Friday.